Daddy is in the house news. Like and subscribe for bangers. Well, this is a rocket launcher match and we all know how whack they are. So, here's a few jokes to make your dick, sorry, I meant your life, a little easier. So one day there is this fly flying over a pond. But while the fly was flying over the pond, there was a fish watching the fly and the fish said, well shit. If that fly would just come down a little bit more, I could jump out and get the fly because I'm hungry. But while the fish was watching the fly, there was a bear watching the fish watching the fly and the bear was like, well shit, if that fly would just come down a little bit more the fish could get the fly. And I could get the fish because I'm hungry. But while the bear was watching the fish watching the fly, there was a hunter watching the bear watching the fish watching the fly and the hunter was like, well shit, if that fly would just come down a little bit more, the fish could get the fly. The bear could get the fish and I could get the bear because I'm hungry. But while the hunter was watching the bear watching the fish watching the fly, there was a squirrel watching the hunter watching the bear watching the fish watching the fly and the squirrel was like, well shit, if that fly would just come down a little bit more. The fish could get the fly, the bear could get the fish, the hunter could get the bear and I could go get his sandwich because I'm hungry. But while the squirrel was watching the hunter watching the bear watching the fish watching the fly, there was a cat watching the squirrel watching the hunter watching the bear watching the fish watching the fly and the cat was like, well shit, if that fly would just come down a little bit more. The fish could get the fly, the bear could get the fish, the hunter could get the bear, the squirrel could get his sandwich and I could get the squirrel because I'm hungry. Anyway, the fly comes down, right? The fish gets the fly, the bear gets the fish, the hunter gets the bear, the squirrel gets the sandwich, and while the cat was trying to get the squirrel, the branch in the tree breaks and the cat comes crashing into the water. Do you know what the moral of this story is? When the fly comes down, the pussy gets wet. Ha ha ha, that was a gay-ass joke. How about this one? One day at the end of class, little Billy's teacher has the class go home and think of a story and then conclude the moral of that story. The next day Billy tells his story. My dad fought in the Vietnam War. His plane was shot down over enemy territory. He jumped out before it crashed with only a case of beer, a machine gun and a machete. On the way down he drank the case of beer. Unfortunately, he landed right in the middle of 100 Vietnamese soldiers. He shot 70 with his machine gun, but ran out of bullets. So he pulled out his machete and killed 20 more, but the blade on his machete broke. So he killed the last 10 with his bare hands. Teacher looks in shock at Billy and asks if there is possibly any moral to his story. Billy replies, yeah, don't mess with my dad when he's been drinking. Two women were walking home after a girls' night out and they feel the need to pee, so passing a graveyard, they decide to go to answer the call of nature. Of course they have no loo roll, so the first one uses her knickers and then throws them away while the other woman spots a ribbon on a wreath and pulls it off and uses that. Next day, their husbands are talking and one says to the other, you know, we need to watch our wives when they go out for their nights out. My wife came home last night without her knickers. You think that's bad, said the other husband. Mine had a card stuck to her bum that said, from all the guys at the fire station, we'll miss you. 3 Americans are on a vacation hiking in a jungle in Brazil. While there, they are attacked by cannibals. The cannibals say they'll eat them if they don't complete 2 tasks. They agree. The first task is to go into the center of the jungle and collect 8 of one fruit. The first tourist, Craig, collects 8 oranges. The second, Bob, finds 8 grapes. They all sit and wait for the third, Roy, but they don't see him, so they just go on without him. The next task is to shove all of the fruit that they collected up their ass, showing no emotion on their face. Well, Craig gets to 2 oranges before he starts crying, so they tie him to a stake ready to be burned. Bob gets to 6 grapes before he starts laughing uncontrollably, and they tie him to the stake too. Just before the cannibal set a light to the stake, Craig says to Bob, why did you start laughing? You could have gone free. Bob says, well, because I just saw Roy coming out of the wood with 8 pineapples. Okay noobs, these were 4 gas jokes, but I don't care. If you had even a small smile, make sure to comment and subscribe. Richi805, out.